Okay guys, welcome back to part 3. This is the final part in our Starrett surface gauge repair. I was digging through the back of the workshop and I actually found yet another surface gauge that was hanging on the back of one of my toolboxes. I didn't even know I had it. A couple things that I found. Well, number one, these annoying square washers come with the gauge, so that's what they provide. I don't know why. They're pretty sharp. I'm not really sure. If anybody knows why they give you an annoying washer like that, where you would think it would be nicer if it was rounded. This is a skin ripper. But I was hoping to I was hoping to get the final dimensions on the barrel that I made the copy of. So let's go ahead and take this one apart and see what we got. And you can see how dirty this one is. And honestly I've disassembled this already, but this wasn't even assembled properly from whoever owned it before me. And that'll tell you just exactly how much use I got from it. And interestingly enough, this is the Starrett 57. And if you remember in our first video, there was quite a bit difference in the barrels. This inner barrel kind of matches the inner barrel from the 257. So I don't know if the person who owned these two swapped that out before I got it, so quite honestly that's not going to be any help for me to get my dimensions. So that being said, I guess we're just going to have to go to the surface plate, take some measurements, and hope we get it correct, because I can't copy this. But anyway, we're going to take care of that. We're going to finish it up, and at the end of this video we're going to have all these put back together and functioning properly. So please hang on and enjoy the show. Thanks. Hey guys, so we're back at the lathe. We're going to cut this to length. We have 375 thousandths to the face of the collet. And we need to take 200 thousandths off, so we'll have 175 thousandths will be our final dimension. And we're just going to face it off and see how it goes. Okay, so we're at 212. We got 38 thousandths to go. Okay, we're just going to clean it up a little bit. And that should be fine. Let's go ahead and see how it looks on the gauge. Might hit this with the round file real fast. It's got a little got a little burr to it. Alright, just going to clean the ID up here with the round file. Still a little catchy. Let's see if we could put this in the lathe and do it. Much better. Okay guys, so at this point we have everything cut down. The outer barrel's cut down. It's a little bit snug, but I got that pushed all the way in, and you can see it's a good fit. Assuming there's going to be some spring tension on there, it's gonna go, you know, it's gonna have a little up and down play. So now the question would be, how would I figure out where to drill the holes for the two pins, the large pin and the small pin? Well, I got my center, or my gauge pins out, and I found that the 315,000th gauge pin fits in there, and that's smooth as silk. There's no slop at all. Unfortunately, I don't have a gauge pin for this, so I'm hoping that I'll find. I'm going to go to my used machinist, my machine dealer, hopefully beginning week, and I'll see if he's got a small set of gauge pins. So what I did was I got my small granite inspection plate out, cleaned it really well. I finally found a use for my tiny Brown and Sharp V-blocks. It's the smallest V-block I have, and since the bottom of this is it's kind of concave, or I'm sorry, convex, so it's not perfectly flat, as you can kind of see right there. It's rounded. So I thought that the only way for me to really get an accurate way for this to stand up perfectly flat would be to put it in the V-block and clamp it, and get it right there on the surface plate. Stick my pin in as far as it'll go. Kind of offset it for you a little bit so you get a better idea. And I got my my surface or my inspection, whatever they are, gauge blocks. I got the gauge blocks out. So I kind of pre-did this already, and I found out that that this was 225 thousandths. So where we have our gauge blocks, or Joe blocks if you want to call them, and you kind of see that that's sliding on there just perfectly. That's perfect. There's no wobble or play there. And I tried the next size, and I get a little bump like this. So that's the right size. So so these are 225 in height, and then half of 315. That's 0.1575. So we want to add those two numbers, 0.225 and 0.1575. So our center height for this hole, which would be, you know, at this point somewhere, is 0.3825. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get, I guess, one of my surface gauges and find that height and we're gonna mark it so we know where to drill. Now the only problem is if I have to do both of these holes in one operation, because if I set them up, let's say I put them in a collet block, you know, I have to turn that collet block and keep them exactly 90 degrees apart from each other. So, I mean, I probably could do that at some point later on down the road, but it would probably be a lot easier if I did it initially. And also, I'm going to have to find the proper drills and a reamer to get to this 315,000th, and also the proper drills and a reamer to get to whatever size that the smaller hole is. So I feel like this might take a couple days or a week to get my act together, but I'm sure by the magic of video it'll be like the next clip. Okay guys, so finally we got our DRO issues sorted out, and I do appreciate you sticking with me as far as all this is concerned, because I almost destroyed the part. I had some issues with the DRO, the scales were wrong, I had to upgrade everything, so I took care of that, and now we're back in action. We're getting ready to cut the or drill pilot holes in our Starrett surface gauge, the barrel that we made. I drilled the small holes. Now I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the vise. I'm going to go ahead and line it back up, and I have it flush with this edge and squared. Now I'm going to go ahead and drill some pilot holes and some small holes. And this is actually the larger holes in the barrel that the extension rod or the pillar goes through. So. Now before I actually drill, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over in the block, because I don't want to drill through and have it walk inside the dimension there, so I'd rather just turn this over in the vise. I feel like I'll get a more precise hole that way. And again, this is flush with the jaw of the vise, so now that I have the pilot drilled, I'm going to start with a smaller bit. This is actually the bit I used for the actual what do you call it? The scribing rod. And we're just going to take our time and drill it slow. There's no rush to get through here. Let me grab a little oil. Now I'm going to flip it, drill from the other side. Once I get this smaller hole drilled, we're going to move on to our larger bit, and at that point I'm not going to flip it over again unless the bit seems to be too short. I feel like that bit got really dull really quick. Alright guys, so we moved from our Jacob 7 beat chuck with our 3/8 R8 collet. We're going to move up in size to a 1/2 inch collet, and we're going to use Jacob's number 32 chuck, and this should give us the amount of capacity that we need to fit the larger bit. I do like to use my chucks on occasion. I don't mind swapping them out because I like to have them get some use, and I like to oil them up and clean them a little bit as I use them, because you know it's not good for them to just sit in the toolbox there. Okay, here we go. Let's drill this and see what goes. What happens. Excellent. Alright guys, so I ended up not reaming it. I drilled that last hole, and it fits in there quite nicely. So I'm just going to pull it out of the collet chuck now at this point, or the collet block. I'm going to chamfer the edges a little bit, and I think we're going to be good to go. So let me do that little cleanup job, and I'll bring you guys back and we'll assemble it, and hopefully everything will work. Hey guys, so we're done with our assembly. Everything turned out okay. We did end up using our reamer, and it wasn't this one, but it was one similar to it. I didn't use the reamer for the small hole for the scribe. That hole turned out fine, and I'm talking about here. That one turned out okay. I drilled this hole out. I believe it was 3/8. That was the closest drill I had, and I thought I'd get away with that. But it didn't, and believe it or not, it was interesting because I see what a superb finish you get with a reamer. Actually, I found this reamer, and it's a spiral reamer, and that was good because there was an interrupted cut. Not much of one, but where it was coming through when it was meeting up with that hole right there for the scribe. So I actually installed this, and I ran the reamer through the whole thing, and it like I said, it came out superb. So this job was I had a lot of different issues going on with my DRO on my mill, and a whole bunch of other stuff, but it was interesting because I did get some more content out of that fact. But here we go. Everything fits fine. Let's see. So here we go. We have the stand. One more thing that I realized, I've been annoyed with that kind of pointy little washer that they put in there, but I think that's a scribe for when you're doing something real low. You can use it to kind of scribe this way. But notwithstanding, here we go. We get that in there. We'll kind of run it all the way through, and we just go ahead and tighten it up. And we tighten it up, and you can see it's not moving. Everything's nice. It's not, you know, loose in there at all. Then we loosen it, and sure enough, it falls right down. So I'm satisfied with this job. I think it came out well. The scribe also fits, obviously, without this without the stand in there, or the stand off. But there you guys have it. We have the Starrett surface gauge. The job is complete, and I'll be happy to have it, that I could use it in my metrology, and I'm sure I'm going to put some good use to it. So anyway, once again, I want to thank everybody for sticking with me through these 3 episodes. Like I said, I'm trying to improve my videos. I'm not that good at this yet, but I'm working on it. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys are doing something excellent in your shop. And until next time, please click the like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day.